Sarah had always been an ordinary person living an ordinary life. She worked as a nurse in a small town hospital, lived in a modest apartment, and enjoyed quiet evenings with a good book or a movie. Her life was predictable, and that's how she liked it. But everything changed one evening when she returned home from a late shift at the hospital. The night had been uneventful, no emergencies, just the usual rounds. She arrived home, unlocked the door, and stepped inside. Everything was as she left it, the soft hum of the refrigerator, the faint scent of lavender from her diffuser, and the comforting stillness of her apartment. But then, she noticed something strange. Her bedroom door was slightly ajar. She was sure she had closed it before leaving that morning. Sarah's heart skipped a beat. Was someone inside? She grabbed a kitchen knife, the only thing within reach, and slowly pushed the door open. The room was empty. Nothing was out of place. She exhaled a shaky breath, laughing at her paranoia. She must have forgotten to close the door, she reasoned. Sarah went about her evening routine: dinner, shower, and then bed. As she brushed her teeth in the bathroom, she noticed something odd in the mirror. For a split second, she thought she saw a shadowy figure standing behind her. She spun around, but the bathroom was empty. Her pulse quickened. "It's just your imagination," she told herself. Mirrors could be tricky, especially when you're tired. But that night, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Sleep didn't come easily, and when it did, it was filled with nightmares, dark figures watching her, their eyes glowing in the darkness. Over the next few days, the strange occurrences continued. Every time Sarah looked in a mirror, she felt like something was watching her, just out of sight. It was subtle at first, a fleeting shadow, a cold shiver down her spine. Then it escalated. One evening, as she was getting ready for bed, Sarah caught sight of her reflection in the hallway mirror. She froze. The woman staring back at her wasn't quite right. The eyes in the reflection were darker, almost black, and the smile was slightly crooked, sinister. She blinked, and the reflection returned to normal. Sarah's hands trembled as she backed away from the mirror. Something was terribly wrong. She avoided mirrors for the rest of the night, covering them with sheets and turning them to face the wall. But avoiding the mirrors didn't stop the terror. Every night, Sarah could feel the presence growing stronger. It was no longer confined to the mirrors. She'd catch glimpses of it in the corner of her eye, a dark shape moving through her apartment. The nightmares became unbearable. She'd wake up drenched in sweat, gasping for breath. The image of that dark figure burned into her mind. One night, the terror reached its peak. Sarah was lying in bed, trying to force herself to sleep, when she heard a faint whispering. It was coming from the direction of her bathroom. Slowly, she sat up, her heart pounding in her chest. The whispering grew louder, more insistent. It was her own voice, distorted, as if it were coming from the depths of a nightmare. Trembling, she got out of bed and walked towards the bathroom. The door was open, and she could see the faint glow of the mirror inside. The whispering stopped the moment she stepped into the bathroom. For a moment, there was silence. Then, the reflection in the mirror moved. It didn't follow her movements. Instead, it slowly turned its head to face her, those dark, hollow eyes staring straight into hers. The reflection smiled, a cruel, twisted smile. Sarah couldn't move. She was frozen in place, staring at the thing in the mirror. It stepped forward, closer to the glass, until it was only inches away. "Let me in," it whispered, its voice a horrifying mimicry of her own. Sarah screamed and ran out of the bathroom, slamming the door behind her. She grabbed her phone and called the only person she could think of, her best friend, Emily. "Sarah, calm down. What's happening?" Emily's voice was groggy but concerned. I think something's in my apartment. In the mirrors." "I'm not crazy, Emily, it's real." Emily hesitated for a moment. "Stay on the phone with me. I'm coming over." It felt like an eternity before Emily arrived. When she did, Sarah threw open the door and pulled her inside, desperate for someone to believe her. Emily listened patiently as Sarah recounted everything, the shadows, the whispers, the reflection that wasn't hers. Emily didn't laugh, didn't dismiss her fears. Instead, she offered to stay the night. They spent the rest of the night in the living room, all the mirrors covered, the lights on. But as the hours passed, Emily began to believe. She, too, could feel the presence, the cold, unshakable dread that seemed to fill the apartment. As dawn approached, Emily suggested they do something drastic. "We need to break the mirrors. All of them." Desperate, Sarah agreed. Together, they went from room to room, smashing every mirror, every reflective surface. The apartment echoed with the sound of breaking glass. As the last mirror shattered, the oppressive atmosphere seemed to lift, just slightly. For the first time in days, Sarah felt like she could breathe again. The presence was gone. She and Emily spent the rest of the morning cleaning up, relieved that the nightmare was over. But as Emily prepared to leave, she hesitated at the front door. "Sarah, promise me you'll be careful." Sarah nodded, still shaken but grateful. "I will." "Thank you, Emily." They hugged, and Emily left. Sarah watched her go, feeling a strange mix of relief and lingering fear. She turned to go back inside and caught sight of her reflection in the window. Her heart stopped. The reflection didn't look quite right. The eyes were dark, and the smile, that twisted, sinister smile, was back. And then the reflection winked. Sarah staggered back, her blood turning to ice. The mirrors were gone, but it wasn't over. Whatever it was still there. And it was getting stronger,